Hello and welcome everybody. It's finally Friday again and I am proud to present you a new episode of Creating a Game with Godot. Today we start with a big picture of me, so hi, this is me. I hope I am not scaring you off at the moment. And as promised, I have a little bit more to show off. I've made quite some progress this week. Tough, I had to do some business tasks and some organizational tasks, but anyway, there is a lot to show off. So let us get started. First of all, as you can see, we have some placeholders for the minimap here, and we also have selected the current sector we are in, and this is highlighted by the red corner, by the red highlight here. So we can already switch to the another sector. The sectors look quite the same at the moment if we switch, but we can see the difference in the people. So here we have a count of 0 and before we had a count of 200. This is one of the big changes because this also created some complexity in the backend code, since we have to store 2 layers of data for the different sectors, and of course we need to update them simultaneously also in the background even if the actual sector is not visible. Yeah, we have to make sure that everything is working correct. Also, if we have later on a battle on a sector ongoing, of course the battle needs to be processed even if we are not looking at the sector at the moment. So everything needs to run in the background and have to be calculated. Let's go on with the next topic. Everything you can see is now costing resources. So if we invent something, we need to have the resources for it, and we also spend them. If we want, for example, to send out some rocks, we need to pay for them, and we can just pay as much as we have resources. Also, there is another thing. If I deploy them and I get them back to my tower, they are marked as I have already spent for 6, so I don't have to spend again for these 6. So they are stored, and then I can add new one if I have more resources. This one was also quite tricky in the implementation because we have to store our invented rocks already and add them to the normal invention. This is quite tricky even if you send the rocks out on a sector where you haven't even invented the rock. We also need to be able that we can pick up the army into our tower, and they also need to be stored even if this design isn't available there. Another cool thing is we can mix up our army by now. So if I take 2 rocks and 4 or 5 people from the normal people and I deploy them onto my landscape, I actually have 2 of the rock people and 4 of the normal people. Even if the models are the same at the moment, we have just these 2 guys throwing some rocks, and the other 4 guys are just walking around without throwing any rocks because they don't have any weapon to attack yet, and they are just walking. So we are able to mix it up. And last but not least, with our shield updates, we now have the possibility to repair our building. The number is in the top left right now. This also costs resources, and the building actually have this health in the code. Before it was just a placeholder and the number was just increased, but now I implemented it to the server code, so we actually have some building healths and everything is calculated correctly. So we can start up with within the next week with the combat process, where we actually get into damaging buildings and repairing buildings, and hopefully at the end of the week destroying buildings. I would also like to give you a small outlook about the new invention items. We have already the spear available, we have the stick available, we have some shield graphics. So my placeholders will be replaced within the next week, and everything will look a little bit better, of course. We also have a new concept for the next building stage, so this will be 3000 BC. There's actually some work in progress. We want to make it more flat and just remove some of the details, but this is the very first concept of the next building epoch, and that will be also a thing we want to implement within the next week. Of course, I hope you liked the progress for this week, and you are excited as I am for the next week, where we finally implement the combat process and we have actually some combat ongoing. This will be a great milestone, and this will flatten the way through our first playable version, which will be planned in the sprint afterwards. So we have the next week to implement the combat, and afterwards we will do all final tasks to have the first playable version, and also give out a small demo if you are interested in. Make sure to tune in on next Friday and see our progress of the next week and hopefully a big battle ongoing. You can of course find all information on our websites, Facebook, Twitter and other social media platforms. Please make sure to subscribe the video and give us an upvote if you like what you see. And don't forget to tune in. Bye!